Hey, one more thing before you go. Tough times don't last. Tough people do. It's the mantra that Joel Hunt lives by. He's an Army veteran who was injured during his third deployment and has seen his fair share of tough times. Though he has endured tragedy, he has come out on the other side with a dedication to helping fellow veterans. In this episode, we're going to have a conversation with Joel in his journey. I'm your host, Michael Herst. This is That Thing About To Hell and Back, a soldier's story. My guest in this episode is Joel Hunt. He's an Army veteran who deployed 3 times during his military career, with his third deployment to Baqubah, Iraq. It ended with a traumatic brain injury and his leg being partially paralyzed. Finding himself left in the care of his parents as his TBI forced him into a wheelchair, he required a significant amount of rehabilitation. With his parents' encouragement, he tried out a paramilitary ski camp specifically designed for people with TBI. He had loved it so much, he eventually ranked in the top 10, and within 1 year after he began, he was ranking third in the United States and 34th in the world. In the beginning of 2013, Joel's journey took another turn after an injury on the slopes. He did not let that stop him and decided to take his woes and turn them into something powerful and positive. He started the H Train Show. It's a podcast that airs on Military Brotherhood Radio, a testament to the tenacity and fortitude of a warrior. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm pretty excited, Michael. I really excited, and I just wanted to share with you real quick. It is military broadcast radio. Brotherhood Radio used to be a long time ago, but it's military
Military
broadcast radio.
broadcasters.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know where I grabbed that. I grabbed that somewhere off of one of your sites.
Oh, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. We're still updating, but again, very appreciative to even have me on the show. I was telling Michael, tell all the listeners, all the viewers out there, I'm pretty envious with the setup here. The video overlays very very nice. So I'm over here with a little bit envy.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm a little envious of your journey. I mean, you have accomplished so much and you do so much for veterans all across the world. I'm assuming all across the world. To me, I think that what you provide is something that is needed actually across the world. You give a voice to veterans, which all veterans need, no matter which service you served in or which war you fought in. All veterans need a voice.
Exactly, and I tried not to cry or get passionate, but I really strongly believe that of all people, you hear so much about the First Amendment, you hear so much about the Second Amendment, and I'm one of those people that believe of anybody that deserves a ticket to have the First or Second Amendment, I believe is the veterans, and like I'm pretty good at computer skills, but like even with when you hear me, you'll probably think, well, if you're hearing me and you heard the introduction, you would understand. But if you miss the introduction and you're listening to me or watching this and you're thinking, man, that guy's drunk. No, I'm not drunk. That's my, I guess, a speech impediment or whatever for my traumatic brain injury. But that's one of the reasons why when I interned with a radio station here in Colorado, that's one of the reasons why I didn't really stay there is because of the speech, you know, and I believe everybody should have the opportunity, you know, because it's not what's coming out of your mouth, it's what's coming out from your heart. And I believe that um, every veteran deserves that opportunity, and that's what military broadcast radio does. If you are a veteran and you have a honorable discharge and you want to have a podcast or you want to have a radio show, but you have no idea how to, we help you. We help you with everything. If you're a nonprofit and you want some help being promoted, kind of like, you know, what an agent does or what a PR person does, you know, MBR will help you. We're actually having a a dinner this Saturday that we are sponsoring a nonprofit. It's their gala dinner, and we're going to be showing up. There's about 9 or 10 of us veterans that are going to be showing up, and we're going to be playing music at the same time. You know, they gave us the press release, and we sent it out to our contacts, and that's what we do. Now, you know, he was talking about the H Train Show. The H Train Show is a podcast, or for, you know, people like my dad, another word for a podcast would be a DVR of the radio show. We are on 45 different syndicated stations, 5 FM stations. And, you know, we're none of us here make a paycheck or make money or anything like that. But it's veterans helping veterans. And that's one of the reasons why I do my show. And we have a couple others on MBR as well. But the show is to give information to all of our listeners so that they understand, you know, what's out there. Um, I'm gonna close with this statement, and I'll let you ask your next question because I don't want to take all the air. But the reason why I created my show, because I know that's probably going to be one of the questions that you have. I had a distant cousin. This is somebody that's related to me that I'd never even met before. She calls me up the day after the possible government shutdown with Obama. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, actually.
Okay. So what happened was she called me and she's like, look, my fiance, he's active duty. He's afraid that he's going to get a no pay due because they're telling the units that they're not going to get paid. We are having an issue with being able to, you know, get any like funds or help or anything, because they wrote to a nonprofit that is very, 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 very popular. Okay, we're not going to mention names because, you know, that's not professional, but they reached out to a nonprofit that was very popular, and they basically told them that they wasn't injured enough. And I told her, I'm like, Allison, you realize there's like 200, 300,000 nonprofits out there for military. She's like, what? She's like, I didn't know that.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, that's what I need to do. I need to make a podcast to where we investigate the nonprofits. We look into their 990. We make sure that they're doing the right thing. And then once we know that they're doing the right thing and they make less than $85,000 in admin costs a year, and you know as well as I do, Michael, that means that nobody works there. They just they volunteer. Okay. And that's one of the main reasons why, because I want to bring nonprofits onto my show that are focused on the military families and not so much the checkbook.
That's a good thing, actually, especially in today's day and age when everybody looks at the bottom dollar. They forgot how to be human, forgot the compassion, humanity and the necessity to take care of our brothers and sisters.
Exactly. And and there's a lot of there's a lot of there's a lot of nonprofits out there that are doing the right thing, but they're not bringing in that money, so they can't make
Right.
commercials. I'm going to tell you this, everybody, this is a hint, okay? If you're seeing a commercial now, there's a good chance that that nonprofit doesn't need your money. They don't donate commercial time. I've never heard of anybody donating commercial time. And if they have, well, they need to give us a call, because that's what we're doing. We're trying to promote to the military community all the nonprofits that are out there, and we're trying to show the military, okay, these guys are focused on these guys, and you're not paying for their second house on the Hawaiian beach. You know what I mean? So that's what we do.
And it's a wonderful thing that you do, actually. I think that, excuse me, your opportunity that you present to veterans and the families, because sometimes people forget about those that are in the journey with them, their families, their kids, their wives, their husbands, their children, their parents, their grandparents at times.
Right.
Those people are also on that journey with the veteran. So that's a very good thing. Let's talk a little bit about you and
Okay.
how you got to the journey to the creation of this brilliant opportunity. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a very small town called Kokomo, Indiana, and do not believe the Beach Boys. It might be the same name, but trust me, the Beach Boys did not create the song for Kokomo. I was born in a very small town. Um, and the reason why I had joined the service, I was a really good place kicker in high school football, and everybody was getting their acceptance letters, and I wasn't getting nothing, and I was all worried. And I'm like, I wasn't exactly a procrastinator. I've always been kind of a worrywart, and I went to I was going to go to a dance with this woman, and of course, heartbreak. So that turned me kind of, where this is going. So that kind of turned me in that direction, okay? But then I'm like, hold up, this is a forever thing. Wait a minute, we're gonna see how this plays out. And then I went over to a friend's house that had just graduated high school. He was working at Chi Chi's. If that doesn't show you my age, I don't know what does. We was working at Chi Chi's, and I told him, hey man, I'm gonna come over after, visit and stuff. He's like, okay. So I show up at his house, and I got scared. I got scared, Michael, because they were smoking marijuana, which that's okay. I have nothing against people smoking marijuana, but they were smoking marijuana, drinking beer, and they had lawn furniture as furniture.
Whoa.
And I I stopped it. I took a look at my life, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Do I want to be like that? Do I want to live like that? Or do I want to be a 21 or a 20-year-old reject living at home? And I got scared, and the woman thing that didn't help. And I went over to I went over to the Marines. True story. I went over to the Marines, and the guy's like, yeah, I don't think we can take you because, in the past you've been on Ritalin or whatever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I literally walked across the street, and I signed up with the Army. Everybody tells me this Marine, they're like, oh, he just didn't want to fill out a paper or a waiver or whatever. But, I tried to go to the Marines in the first place, but they wouldn't take me. So I went into the Army. That's why I say Army, the few, the proud, the rejects. But I,
Oh, that's
I served in the military. I served honorably. I don't talk much about the military because with my traumatic brain injury, I don't remember much of it. I can tell you that
Do you remember what your
um
MOS was?
I remember my MOS. When I came in, it was 12 Bravo, and then they decided to change it to 21. I have no idea. I'm thinking maybe the guy that was in charge of the books was dyslexic. I don't know. But then it went from 12 to 21 Bravo, and then 21 to 12 Bravo. So it's like, why did you guys even change it in the first place? And I think they're still doing it today. And 12 Bravo is a combat engineer. Okay. Now, for a lot of people, they're like, well, what the hell is a combat engineer?
I was
A
going to ask that.
combat engineer, it's not the best movie that I can give as a description would be The Hurt Locker, but the Hurt Locker is civilian EOD. It's not really combat engineer, but kind of think of us as like an assistant. We deal with anti-tank mines, anti-personnel mines, IEDs. They call us. We hit them with a 50 cal, or we'd go over there with a what we call oh shit charge, throw it on there and blow them away. That was my job. And, I would love to, I always tell people I'd be funny. Yeah, don't cut the red wire. But I don't know exactly the pinpoint date of the injury because I think it was a combination of all the explosions. I mean, I was I deployed 3 times in the same place within like a 4-year difference. And the military, they didn't really take care of me. They didn't take care of a lot of soldiers that were in during my time. I know I'm not the only one that had their medical records lost. So having medical records lost, it put a huge dampening on receiving my military stuff, like retirement, Purple Heart, um, life insurance, which still today the life insurance thing, still haven't been able to crack that. So they didn't take care of me very much. This is the reason why I wanted to be a Marine. I think Marines kind of take care of Marines a little bit more than the Army does. But
Yeah.
uh, you know,
That's
I
really,
came back. Go ahead.
I say that's very unfortunate that they don't do that. They don't pay enough attention to the individuals that they're putting on the front line.
That is, and I think it's more of we just want boots on the ground. I think that's what it is. It's kind of like a number game, which I mean, now I have no idea what we're gonna do with the whole thing that's happening over
Yeah.
in the Russia area, which we won't get into that, but I can tell you that when I came back from all of my deployments, and everything was all done in 2007. After 2007, I don't know if it was because like my adrenaline was stopped because I was officially out of the army, but things started going downhill. I I worked at Walgreens, and I almost got fired at Walgreens because I mixed up the person's photos. Like my memory was really bad, and it wasn't it wasn't a little mix up. I mean, it was a bad mix up. You had one guy that had a camera full of hunting pictures, and another was of it looked like a married couple trying to spice up things, and I
Different kind of
accidentally
hunting.
yeah, exactly. I gave them the wrong film, so I should have been fired there, but I didn't. They gave me like a warning. And then every once in a while, when I was putting the orange juice and stuff back into the cooler, like I would have these blackouts and dizzy spells, and I would drop the orange juice and it would bust all over the floor. And as the months progressed, but by December, I found myself confined to a wheelchair. I confined myself to a wheelchair because, like, my brain was overloaded, and then on top of it, I was having issues regulating my temperature, and because I had the issues of regulating my temperature from my TBI, it's almost like a stroke. I would black out or I would dizzy spell. So I found out that if I wasn't using my legs, like in a like wheelchair, then I'd be okay. But if I'm like walking, and I had several VA people with me at times, and then I'm like, hold on, and then I would feel the quakes, and they would, you know, they witnessed it. Like they couldn't explain it. VA still can't explain it. I still say that TBI is like AIDS of the 90s. Like when you think you understand TBI, something happens, you read a little bit, and then bam, okay, breakthrough. We just found out something else. We're constantly learning about the TBI. We're constantly, and we're constantly seeing shit with TBI in the NFL, like Antonio Brown, like what happened with him. Um, it definitely affects your attitude, the way you do things. So when I was in my wheelchair, you know, my dad kept telling me, he's like, no woman's gonna want to be with you if you're in a wheelchair. You need to get your butt up. And he would try to motivate me, and I just wasn't happening. But that TBI
Right.
camp that you're talking about, I remember that because it was a Tuesday or Wednesday. My mom came up to me, and she knew that they had signed me up for this camp. I didn't know anything about it. They signed me up for this camp, and I finally got the call, and I looked at my mom, and I'm like, "Really? I'm not ready." And she's like, "Yeah, you are." She's like, "Hey, Joel," and this is a true story.
Here you
She's like, "Hey,
go.
Joel, hey, let's go to water aerobics. I'll introduce you to the girls. They're very cute. You might like them." So I didn't know anything about water aerobics. I'm like, okay, all right, this is great. Listeners, viewers, let me tell you something before you find out the hard way. Okay. Water aerobics is not a way to pick up on chicks. Okay. They're all old. And that's what I dealt with. I got there. I was really upset. I'm like, really, mom? She's like, hey, they're girls, but water aerobics, it helped me. It helped me be able to to kind of feel my ankles, especially like on my right foot. So since I was trying to balance that out, at the same time I was trying to balance that out on my left side, but because of my paralysis, it was hard for me to gasp, trying to feel the ankles on the left side. But the balance thing helped me with water aerobics. And then when I went to ski, on the third day, Michael, they told me that I was carving. That's how much of like a natural at skiing I was. And I told them, I'm like, well, all you have to do, it's like roller skating. You just roll your ankles. And they're like, okay, well, you're doing amazing. So I did
Had,
amazing.
had you ever
And
skied before that at all?
oh no, no, never, never. No, I was born in Indiana. All we have is corn, you know? I used to make fun of people. Oh, they're so rich. They're going to go up there, eat some sushi, drink some wine, come down the hill and brag about how much money they have. But I didn't know that skiing was going to change my life.
Right.
It was like a drug. I finally got this drug that not only made me feel independent because when I skied, I felt free as a bird. Nobody could touch me. I didn't need anybody's help. I could finally do something on my own by myself, you know? Um,
That's amazing.
with a guy, if a guy asks you or requests something, it takes a lot for a guy to swallow up his pride and ask for help.
I agree with
It
that.
takes a lot. And I was in that aspect. I was in that aspect. But I learned how to ski. And I didn't think anything of it. The guy that was teaching me, I looked at him and I'm like, so are you telling me, because he used to be a racer and we were, talking, I was going through NASCAR, and he's like, good job. And I'm like, do you think if I had the right coaching, and the right, equipment, do you think I could be a ski racer like you?
Hey, just a real quick reminder. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for being a part of the One More Thing Before You Go family. Please remember to subscribe and/or follow us. We would greatly appreciate it. We do have an app that's available for you for free. You'll find it in the App Store or on Google Play. It is compliments of SuperPass, our sponsor. Anything that you want to do with your business to take it to the next level, have an entertainment or an information hub in the palm of your hand, it's SuperPass. It will give you the unique opportunity for everything. One more thing before you go. Please take the time to support us by subscribing, following, and visiting our unique merchandise store at beforeyougopodcast.shop. You'll find that link to the store in our website. It is beforeyougopodcast.shop. You can find our website at beforeyougopodcast.com and one more thing before you go.com. You will find links to your favorite platform to listen to the show, as well as the show notes for today's episode and contact information for our guest. And we appreciate you. Thank you for supporting and listening to us each and every week.
And he looked at me and he's like, oh, no, you're too old.
Always got to throw the age thing in.
That pissed me off so much. And believe it or not, Michael, if he wouldn't have said that, I probably would have never tried to go to the Paralympics. But I love to ski really a lot. And they had programs with the military programs that basically, hey, if you're learning to ski, we'll pay for your lodging, your lift ticket, and all that stuff. And that stuff's expensive, especially the skis, because I got a pair of skis right now. They're about $5,000.
Wow.
They're expensive. And so at that point, I just went to a bunch of learn to ski camps because I love to ski. I didn't really have any thrive to do competitive. I literally did the competitive to prove that kid wrong.
Wow. And you did.
I did, and it was funny because after they announced that I had made the team, like, he reached out and he's like, hey man, congratulations. I hear your speaking engagements. He's like, that's not exactly what I said about, you being too old. I'm like, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. It's long. It could have been my TBI, but it doesn't matter. The thing that matters is that I was skiing so that I could get better, so that I could rehabilitate. The U.S. was using me because I had a raw talent. And because I had the raw talent, I got that opportunity to serve my country a second different way, a second different form. And if I had that chance, because you should have seen me when I was back then. You should see me now, because I've got way more confidence. That was the turning point for me to serve my community, my country in a second different manner. That was a huge turning point for me.
Well,
and when I got out, I thought to myself, I don't want to just hang up, because everybody's looking at me. I'm a public profile now. Everybody's looking at me and stuff. I didn't want to just hang my skis up. So I'm like, I got that distant cousin call. And that's when I started the H Train show. And then military broadcast radio, it just kind of just dropped in my lap. The guy retired and I inherited it, kind of. But if if it changed my life as a closure thing to serve my country in a second different way, who's to say that that wouldn't help other veterans? And that's the reason why I created the opportunity at Military Broadcast Radio for all veterans.
Well, you reinvented your life. In reinventing it, you did it in such a way that you were able to continue to serve, which kudos for that. And that is an outstanding achievement, actually. Now, you said that you had gotten a Purple Heart. You mentioned that earlier in the conversation. Um, is that something that you had to fight for, or is that something that, how'd you get the
I
Purple
had
Heart?
I had a fight for it. Forgotten Heroes presented it to me, and yeah, I didn't really care much about trying to get it. It was more for my mom because my mom got a pin on me before she died of pancreatic cancer. That was that was the biggest part of that award, is that my mom got a pin on me.
That's a good thing. Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss in regard to that. You you are married, right?
I am. Right
So
now, I am. It could be different. We could be married because she can't afford the money to do divorce. But last time I checked, I think she's happy. That's something that you would have to get with her one on one. But we've
sometimes
been
it's
married now for 10 years,
good job. Sometimes it's good to be broke.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this broke has its positives too. Yeah, you. I know that you had suffered a couple of losses. One was your mother, and you had also had another loss that was very, very, very personal to you. That kind of also motivated you into the new direction in your life. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Um, sure. I'm not putting two and two together. I'm not too sure what you mean by the second loss.
Um, you said that you're where did it go? Honors. Do.
I know that me and my wife, we tried to have kids, and that whole thing kind of failed, and then it didn't help that my mother passed like right after that.
I think that's
Uh,
probably what you mentioned to me. That might be what you mentioned to me. See, one of our previous emails that we had spoke together, messages that we had spoken in regard to that. So that might be that. I think you had told me something about losing a child to miscarriage.
yeah,
And
yeah. It's unfortunate. I guess a lot of females um due to miscarriage. We had two, but we have stuck it through so far. We've
very
stuck
good.
it through. Um, but um, things just happen. And when my grandfather died a long time ago, one thing that he told me that really, I don't know why, but my nose is itching. um,
Somebody's thinking
my
about you.
I know, right? My grandfather, he taught me a valuable lesson. He taught me the valuable lesson of, when things don't go your way, you can't say why God, because we never say why God when good things happen. So instead of being upset because things aren't going your way, realize and know that somewhere around you, that maybe your good luck karma is helping somebody that is really in need. And that's not to say that your time won't come. You can't have a good high every single day. Uh, just be open to it, and have faith.
Those are profound words. I relate to them to a certain perspective on my own journey. in regard to that. I did the same thing after I got injured and I was put in a wheelchair, and it was the why me, why me? I had dedicated, just like you, I had dedicated my life to service and in service of others, and I was angry for a long time. I was in denial for a long time. Um, I was depressed for a long time, and a multitude of those. As you said earlier in the conversation, it's very humbling when when you're a man, and then when you're in a position that others look up to for whatever reason, whether it be a soldier, a cop, a firefighter, a doctor, that you have to ask for help. Um, it it gives you a different perspective on life and those around you. And I think that at that time, people coming, male or female, coming out of being a veteran and having to readjust to life, whether it be through injury or through PTSD or through TBIs, need the opportunity to be able to express themselves in a way that will help them to heal and move forward. And your words of wisdom that you just spoke, I think, are an integral part of doing that. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. I also want to show another thing of wisdom before I leave that, and I've learned that this year. Um, Instead of getting like mad or whatever at people or really upsetting and throw anger out after that email or text message that you got, I learned that you sooner in life, you as a person, you have to be honest to yourself and realize that we all have toxic characteristics. Sometimes it's not always that other person. So before you point the finger at somebody else, you need to take a look at yourself and, you know, think, okay, what's wrong with me before I start comparing myself what's wrong with them? And I think that the world would be a lot better place if when I spoke or if anybody speaks or if I write something or if anybody writes something, post something. And a lot of people don't even do this on social media, but on social media, like, what are your intentions? Like, what are your intentions? If you go on Facebook and you post, um, hey, I hate life and blah, blah, blah. Don't call me. Then why did you post?
I
I
agree with
mean,
that. Yeah.
you know, that's one thing I've learned this year. And I invite everybody, to kind of learn that lesson is before you say or post anything, think to yourself, what, what am I, what am I trying to do here?
Yep.
Um,
What am I trying to
so
say? What are my intentions? What
exactly.
why am I doing this? My why? Why am I doing this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Um, if you're depressed, everybody gets depressed. Okay. If you're sad, everybody's sad. All right. We all have that one person that we can call. And if we don't have that one person that we can call, then, you know, I wouldn't reach out to a friend or a family member because they'll tell you that it's okay for you to call. All
Right.
right. But sometimes they're busy. You know what I mean? So instead of feeling that neglect, if you're really feeling down and depressed, call the crisis hotline number. And I can give that number to you, but I'm telling you that you're gonna feel better if you do that. Now, hey, look, if you're kind of person that just wants attention, that's fine. A friend or a family member, you can always text them, hey, I was just thinking about you. How are you, buddy? You know, you don't
Mhm.
need to tell them that you feel down and out. You can just you do literally. You don't have to have an invitation to call anybody. You can text them. Hey, I was just thinking of you. How are you? Every single day, I text 22 veterans that are friends of mine. I text them, hey, I don't do this buddy check stuff. Okay. I don't. I don't do the buddy check. I don't do the push-ups. Okay. Um, I have a bunch of veterans that I'm friends with, and every single day I'll text them, how you doing? We haven't spoke for a while. I just wanted to let you know that I'm thinking of you. If you let another veteran know that you're thinking of you, then you can't feel too small anymore.
I agree with that, and
So,
I think that stands for everyone. That not just veterans, yes, veterans, but you can do it for your parents, your grandparents, your kids,
yes,
your mothers, your friends, your the
especially firefighters, police officers. We talk so much about the army or the military having PTSD. Firefighters, especially police. Me and you
yeah,
were talking about that behind the scenes. You know, firefighters and police, they go through so much, and I think sometimes they don't get as much respect as the military does. And I think that the fire department and the police, I think they should get a little bit more respect than kind of military, because they deploy every single day.
yeah,
I would be scared shitless if I was a cop right now in today's society. Because even as a civilian just walking down
right.
the street, I'm kind of scared, what will happen. It's a different society now.
It really is. It is a different society even from when I was on the job. It has evolved into something that even here in the Phoenix area, about every day now there's a shooting. Every day there's a shooting. And every day there's a officer involved shooting. It just, you take
Yeah.
your life in your hands constantly, all the time. And PTSD affects, I've lost several friends, both on the law enforcement and from the firefighter side, that have taken the dark path and had uh, turned out their own lights, basically. And, it's difficult. So, yeah, text somebody. It doesn't cost you anything to text somebody. It doesn't cost you anything to say, how you doing? Didn't cost you
Right.
anything to let somebody know that, hey, I'm thinking about you. Even if it's just something like, hey, hello, how are you doing? It's a good idea.
Exactly.
Very good idea. Um, let's talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, let's talk a
Go
little bit
ahead.
about how somebody can find uh, your radio, your broad. Let me start that in
Radio
English.
station. You're good. You're good. You're good. So you can check us out anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on holidays. You can check us out at mbradio.us. That's Mike Bravo Radio.us. As you see on the screen, there's two QR codes. Those QR codes, I'm told, once you click on the QR code, that will download. Whether you have an Apple iPhone or you have an Android, there's a Google Play, there's an Apple Store. You can hit that scan code. The interesting thing about MBR, okay, and if it doesn't work, I want you to please message me at manager@mbradio.us. But the thing that I stand proud about this app is this app has a VPN service inside it, or something like GeoBlocked. It doesn't have any GeoBlocked in it, and you can listen to the app. You can, sorry about that. You can listen to the app on, if you're in India, if you're in China, if you're in Germany, if you're in Australia. And the reason why I bring this up, and I found this out, me and my wife, when I first inherited MBR, we went on vacation. I'd never been. I wanted to visit my old stomping ground, Bamberg, Germany, and we also was going in Paris. And one thing that we found was tune in. It wasn't working to play MBR because you had to have a VPN. So I'm like, okay, I got to change this. I got to fix this because, we got troops that are in Germany. We've got troops that are deployed. I want them to be able to listen to a station to keep them up to date with today's music, today's hits, especially today's resources, because there's so many out there. Okay. And the nice thing about the VPN, I don't know if you know anything about VPN, but it makes your IP look like, oh, you're not in Indiana, you're in Germany, so that you can be able to access everything within that country. Because believe it or not, there's some things that are blocked when you go to countries. So that's the one thing that's great about this app. Also, great thing about MBR is if you're a veteran and you have an honorable discharge, contact me. We want you at the station. Okay. Are you going to get any money? Probably not, but we're going to improve the reach. We're going to teach you you know, some tips, some tricks, all of that stuff. Um, Also with this app, MBR, like I said, we're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We actually play all genres of music. In the morning, we play country. In the afternoon, we play rock. In the evening, we play pop and R&B. Sometimes the DJs that go live, they have their own style. But when they have their own style, you know who to follow, who not to follow. And yeah, the intent of MBR is to try to help all veterans and make them feel a little bit more at home until they get home.
That's a very good thing. And I'll make sure all that's in the show notes as well and on my website so that they have access to that, including the QR codes. So it makes it really, really easy for them to be able to find you and to download those apps and to get some help if they need it in regard to, especially, I mean, you reinvented your life into radio, and this is an opportunity for them to take that chance too, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Look, if a guy that can't pronounce and talks drunk and and he can't do grammar very good, if a guy like me can not only create a radio show and ski at 70 miles per hour, um, you can do anything that you want to do.
Exactly. 100%. You have the opportunity. You have to have mind, body, soul, the fortitude, the perseverance, just like you. So, Joel, this is one more thing before you go. So before we
Okay.
go, do you have any wisdom or words of wisdom that you'd like to share with everybody?
Perfect. Yeah. My favorite saying. And if you don't listen to anything at all that I say today, please listen to this. For those that are struggling, for those that are finding it hard to accept their identity, for those out there that are having trouble having others accept their identity, do not, don't, don't end something that's temporary that turns out within 72 hours. It don't sweat the small shit. The the saying that I always say is tough times don't last, tough people do. And it's the biggest reason, because I can tell you right now, if you feel that, if you think about suicide or have thoughts of it, guess what? You're not the only one. Everybody thinks it. Everybody has that thought. Okay. But, it's best analogy I could give is don't hand over the wallet if you're just missing a penny from the purchase.
That's pretty good. I like that. I like that. That's outstanding words of wisdom. Joel, thank you very much for sharing your journey. I really appreciate it. It has been a profound journey. I thank you for taking it on a positive path and helping others to move their life forward in a very good way, in a positive way. Thank you for surviving what you have to be here in order to do that. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of One More Thing Before You Go, a unique conversation about life. If you like our show and want to know more, check out our website at beforeyougopodcast.com. That's beforeyougopodcast.com. Tell your story, share your expertise, contribute to the blog, and subscribe to the newsletter. You can find us as well as subscribe to the program and rate us on your favorite podcast listening platform.
And one more thing before you go. Have a nice day, have a nice week, and thanks for listening.
One More Thing Before You Go, a unique conversation about life podcast, is a creation of One More Thing Productions, established 2010, all rights reserved.